We have to call it like it is. We are not trying to cover up and sugarcoat matters. You have to see the anal incontinence that comes with homosexualism and the health bill that comes along. We don't have the means to take care of this. Number one. Number two, we are already at the seams. 88% of our total expenditure goes into recurrent budget. And recently, you heard the hue and cry about the salaries and for the first lady and second lady and the benefits and all that. 88% of our total expenditure goes into recurrent budget. We don't have the means. We don't have the money to add to the cost of health to run down the economy. We need that capital to develop roads and infrastructure and education and build more hospitals. We can't afford to, in quote, throw away that money to people whose life have been misled.
Well, but speaking earlier on NEWSFLASH, a member of the LGBTQ community in Ghana, Rosalind Mould, says the bill is dehumanizing. Dr. Samuel Ofori-Ongwena disagrees. Listen to them.
And a democracy is at stake. We allow this bill to go through. I mean, who does it take? Who is it who has the right to tell us as Ghanaians what it means to be Ghanaian? The National Coalition, the National House of Chiefs, all these other groups that are coming together to pass this on this bill definitely do not have the right to tell Ghanaians what it means to be a Ghanaian, because our culture is dynamic and it changes. It reeks of a lot of issues on infringement of our rights to expression, freedom of expression, which will not only affect this bill, it will affect not just the advocates and activists that have been fighting for the rights of LGBT plus people to be, so that they will not be violated, their rights will not be violated, and the violence and discrimination that is being meted against that community should stop. Instead, this bill is rather going to promote homophobia, in the sense that the violence will continue to increase, and there will be no way for us to fight for their rights to be. Their right to life, education, healthcare, and all that is completely going to be nil.
Away from that story, civil society organizations in the minority in parliament say the special prosecutor nominee, Kissi Ejabin, must build collaboration and properly establish the office if he is to succeed. It comes after Parliament's appointment committee unanimously recommended the approval of his nomination following his vetting yesterday. We hear from an anti-graft campaigner, but first, listen to 43-year-old special prosecutor nominee responding to queries by members of the vetting committee on how he will fill the shoes left behind by his predecessor, Martin Amidu.
The nominee for the office of the special prosecutor, Kissi Ejabin, yesterday refuted claims that he was a surrogate for a law firm involved in the controversial Ijapa deal. He told Parliament's appointment committee during his vetting that those making such claims are uninformed.
Whoever says I'm a surrogate of a law firm or implicates me in the Ijapa transaction clearly does not know me. Because if you know me, you wouldn't make such allegations. And so all these things that came up, I took it as coming from uninformed positions. Because I was not involved in the Ijapa transaction in any form or manner, by any stretch of the imagination, however fertile.
The nominee of the office, Kissi Ejabin, then indicated how he will make corruption a high-cost venture in the country.
I am not naive to assume that I am coming to stop corruption. There is no way I can stop corruption. God himself will not even acclaim to that. But I am going to make corruption very costly. Very, very costly to engage in.
This is how he answered critics who said he is too young to occupy the position of special prosecutor.
I qualify to be the president of this republic. I am age mates with the president of the French Republic. Indeed, you should forgive me for saying this, I'm a year older than the Minister for Justice and Attorney General. We were mates at the University of Ghana and Ghana School of Law. He is the Minister for Justice and Attorney General. There's no question about his age. Why then throw issues about my age? In terms of experience, as I stated much earlier, I was called to the bar some 18 years ago. I qualified to sit on the Supreme Court of Ghana. Indeed, I'm 3 years past the qualification for Supreme Court.
Speaking to journalists moments after the meeting, Chairman of the Appointments Committee, Joseph Osei Owusu, said the members were satisfied with the answers provided by the nominee, hence the approval.
It's before the House, for the House to determine approval or disapproval of our recommendation. My observation, my committee's view is simply to recommend the House to approve the nomination or not. As to how other people value or view his answers, I'd rather leave it to them. Committee unanimously agreed to recommend him to the House for approval.
The House of Parliament will later debate the report of the committee to decide whether the nominee will be approved or rejected.
Meanwhile, an anti-graft campaigner, Adam Senanu, has applauded the Appointments Committee for unanimously endorsing the nominee Kissi Agyabeng. He spoke to Morawudu on Newsline.
Well, my concern was not about capacity. I was concerned specifically about experience. There are three elements of the law that spells out the requirements he has to meet. And one of those requirements is that he should have adequate experience in the anti-corruption sector. And I felt that the information provided on his CV did not, as it were, capture sufficient experience for us to know whether he will be able to deal with the multifaceted, hydra-headed kind of corruption we face, and the likelihood that, as we say, corruption fights those who attempt to fight it, whether he would have a tough skin enough to deal with it. So that was the concern I kept highlighting. Well, to the extent that the subsequent, what did I call it, information available, number one, there has not been any finding against his integrity to the extent that he was able to adequately deal and dispose of the issue of an affiliation with the Japa issue. Would like to just, as it were, he's been given the nod, and I think we should give him the support. The days and months ahead will tell us whether that he has the tough skin enough to deal with the sector and the issues that will be thrown at him. I think that all the relevant questions were asked, and I'm always delighted when, at the end of the day, there's a bipartisan agreement, and in this case, it was a unanimous agreement that he had fared creditably and should be given the nod.
Let's stay a while longer on issues concerning the office of the Special Prosecutor and Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, was described as a waste of the taxpayers' money. The office of the Special Prosecutor. This comes after the office's nominee, Kissi Agyabeng, responded to questions before Parliament's Appointment Committee yesterday, saying he cannot stop corruption but will make it a costly venture. Meanwhile, Managing Director of the State Transport Corporation, Nana Kumia, reacting to these claims, said he disagreed with the comments, adding that Kissi Agyabeng is the right man for the job.
How are you going to fight? I'm not surprised that he himself says that he's not here to stop corruption.
He says he'll make it costly.
He'll make it costly. How is he going to make it costly? How? When he is conscious of what happened to his predecessor. What did Martin Abidu say? Go back to the Martin Abidu epistles. He said, look, the greatest mistake he made in his life, ever, this is Martin Abidu speaking, was to have trusted Nana Akufo-Addo that he meant the fight against corruption, that he was committed to the fight against corruption. That is the greatest mistake he ever made in his life, to have been deceived by what he calls the mother serpent of corruption. So in this climate, what are you going to achieve? Close down that office. Close down the office. I mean, this whole business of an office of special prosecutor was because we said attorney generals sit in cabinet with colleagues they are not independent enough. So we need an independent person who will be very, very ruthless, neutral in the fight against corruption. Now we are opting to go for people who we are more comfortable with, and we think that this office will deliver any goods. No wonder if you follow social media yesterday, nobody is interested.
Well, Samuel Kujato has made statements that don't hold any water at all. It's just, as usual, trying to. These days he tries to strike a straight line, but once in a while he slips into this propaganda thing. Look, Amidu, the comments Amidu made against NDC, if we are to repeat them,
which you used and read to us on this show all the time.
Absolutely. I still have. If we had time, I'd have read a lot of them.
He's also reading some to you.
So I'm saying that read both. So that's what Amidu is.
if we believe Amidu on John Mahama and we used it, shouldn't we believe Amidu on Nana Akufo-Addo and use him?
I don't have a problem people quoting Amidu. But
St. Martin.
Quote what he said about you. Otherwise, I'll bring it out and quote what he said about you. So don't come and beat us over what Amidu has said. Otherwise, we'll beat you over what Amidu has said about you.
Still on Good Morning Ghana, the Member of Parliament for North Tongue, Samuel Okudzeto-Ablakwa, says the Finance Minister, Kenny Ferrata's failure to put a cost on the money expended on presidential travels to Europe and South Africa in May is unacceptable and a move to keep it a secret. The Managing Director of the State Transport Corporation, Anakomia, says it is disturbing to know that till date, the cost and details of the presidential travels have not been made public. He, however, called for patience. The two were speaking on Good Morning Ghana.
This whole episode has left Parliament further weakened. It has undermined the authority of Parliament.
Why?
Parliament should not have allowed one minister to treat Parliament this way. So contemptuously, so arrogantly, with such disdain and disrespect. Parliament should not have allowed that. All ministers are equal. And we are all, including the president, the commander-in-chief, we are all under the constitution and the standing orders when it comes to parliamentary procedures and practices.
But indeed, if this were the answer, then if you receive the question on the 14th, you should be able to give this answer in 5 minutes.
Exactly. That is,
if this indeed was the answer.
Yes. So even if you had received the question even that day, the 17th,
yes,
you should just have told the clerk at table who brought the correspondence to you that, look, I don't have the answer. This is not for me. It should be redirected. And you just write that Speaker has admitted in error.
All he has said is that the office to give that information is the office of the Minister for National Security. So he hasn't refused to answer the question. He hasn't said it is a secret. He has just said that this other office will be best placed to answer it.
After 7 weeks.
Yes. I'll come to that. So that's what that the man has said. So to now come and describe the whole government as sinking so low in accountability is quite unfair.
This is NEWSFLASH on Metro Television. My name is Noble Crosby, and we're back with more stories after the break. Stay with us.
The search for a reliable partner in we also have available the sale of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020-000-083 at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
The The world has seen a lot of evolution in recent times. Global network facilitated by trade continues to grow stronger and forge nations closer together.
On International Trade Focus, we'll share with you the current industry, tech and commercial avenues turning the world's trade wheel. This is your gateway to international business connections and trading events. Get the inside views, vital information, trends and analysis on emerging trade giants in Ghana and beyond. International Trade Focus, the global television trade showcase, transcending barriers in creativity and innovation. Join me, Anna Spiel, as I give you a whole menu of international trade activities. International Trade Focus, your timely business hub. International Trade Focus is brought to you by GOL, ADB, Pediastic Valley Resorts and Public Elegance.
Welcome back to NEWSFLASH. Let's bring you more stories. And the ranking member on Parliament's Defence and Interior Committee, James Agaga, is urging all 17 regional and district police commanders to support the newly appointed Inspector General of Police, George Ekufo Dampare. Speaking on Metro TV's Good Evening Ghana, the MP for Busa South said the only way the IGP will succeed is for the commanders to buy into his vision.
Dr. Dampare knows very well that, look, to succeed as an Inspector General of Police, because this is a service which is heavily decentralized. So you have the regional commanders, you have the directorates. When you, a while ago, displayed on your screen, CI 76, it was very clear. You have the directorates, you have the units, etc. Then you have the regions. We have 17 regions now, police regions.
16 or 17? 17. Tema is a region?
Yes, so plus the, so traditionally we used to have 11.
I see.
The traditional regions plus Tema.
Because Tema becomes a region.
Yes.
So there's a Tema regional commander.
That's right.
And there's a Greater Accra regional commander.
That's right. Okay. So Tema was a region. And so when talking about police regions, Greater Accra alone accounted for 2 regions. Now if you add the newly created regions, you have 17. You have 17.
So you're going to have 17 regional commanders?
Yes. Okay. We do have 17. So this is a service that is heavily decentralized. And so for an IGP to succeed, he needs to get all the commanders at the regional level, at the levels of the directorates, and at the district levels to buy into a certain vision that he believes and espouses. He cannot do the job alone. And I believe Dr. Dampare understands that too well.
You seem to be sending us an ominous sign that may be difficult to get.
No, well, of course.
What is coming from you,
that is the challenge of leadership.
We take it very seriously because you have been at the Ministry of Interior. Is it going to be difficult?
Well, I don't think it should be difficult. Dr. Dampare is up to the task, but it's up to him to get all the commanders, the heads of the directorates, the commissioners of police to buy into his vision and move along with them.
Would he need a new vision? Are you saying we have to buy into his vision because of the current state of affairs of the police that you think is in a state that it requires a new vision? Otherwise, he can just continue what his predecessor was doing.
Yes, you see, Paul, the principal mandate of the police is to ensure that there is law and order in our country. But in recent times, I mean, there is no question about the fact that incidents of armed robbery is on the ascendancy. I mean, starting from 2017, 2018, 2019, up to 2021.
Now, fire has gutted 6 classrooms at St. Elizabeth International School at Abuaka Housing in the Chumangwa municipality of the Ashanti region. The blaze started from the assistant headmaster's bedroom, a portion of the classroom block converted into dormitories, and spread to other rooms around 5 a.m. a time. The students had woken up and were preparing for classes. According to the firefighters, the students had to run for safety when the fire started. The firefighters swiftly responded to distress calls and combated the inferno from further spreading. In all, 6 out of 18 rooms were burnt. The fire commander of the Nkariat District Fire Station, James Akowa, said explosions of gas cylinders in one of the affected rooms made the fire spread fast. He said the cause of the fire is not yet known, but investigations are underway. Meanwhile, no casualties were recorded. Away from that story, the Education Ministry is fighting off claims that it misapplied 19 million cedis allocated to the free senior high school account. The Auditor General, in a report to the Speaker of Parliament, said between January and July 2019, over 19 million cedis allocated for the free SHS were advanced to 2 institutions, NACA and GES, without definite terms of recovery.
According to the report by the Auditor General, between January 2019 and July 2019, a total of 19,217,802 received for free SHS to be utilized for various plan activities were rather advanced to 2 institutions without definite terms of recovery as of the time of audit. The management have not recovered the amount from the beneficiary. However, the Ministry of Education has been setting the record straight on the misapplication of the funds. According to a statement from the ministry, in 2019, the Minister of Education approved the said amount to be borrowed from the free SHS account to support urgent activities of the National Council for Curriculum and Assessment and the Ghana Education Service. The statement said the activities were to be funded by the Ghana Accountability and Learning Outcomes Project, a basic education reform project funded by the World Bank. Gallup, at the time, had not released funds to NACA and GES to implement the time-bound activities. The ministry also clearly stated that NACA and GES have since paid the borrowed amount into the free senior high school accounts.
To some foreign stories, residents in Zhengzhou were evacuated after being trapped at home for 3 days without electricity, water or food. On Thursday, July 22, a mass flooding has left terrifying scenes in China's central Henan province.
Home for 3 days, she told Reuters she had no food or water and had been without any connection with the outside world. Tens of thousands of people were being evacuated from flood-hit regions of central China as officials raised the death toll from heavy rain that has deluged Henan province for almost a week to 33. The fatalities included 12 people who were killed when the subway in the provincial capital of Zhengzhou, about 650 kilometers 400 miles southwest of Beijing, was flooded this week. This week, Zhengzhou became the epicenter of extreme weather in central China, registering 617.1 millimeters, 24.3 inches of rain from Saturday, July 17 to Tuesday, July 20, almost the equivalent of the city's annual average of 640.8 millimeters, that's 25.2 inches.
Now, displaced families in the Democratic Republic of Congo are in dire need of shelter after escaping violence in the east of the country. The agency and its partners are providing shelter, but as the situation continues to deteriorate, more assistance is needed. Ongoing conflict in North Kivu alone has forced nearly 2 million people to flee their homes.
More than 100,000 displaced people were assisted with emergency shelters in 2020 and almost 14,000 so far in 2021. But needs remain high as attacks by armed groups continue to displace people in the province, with many forced to flee multiple times. Women and children are particularly vulnerable. Elodie Kavugo, 41, and her children escaped fighting at home in eastern Congo after armed groups attacked their village. They walked for days on foot looking for a safe place to settle. They lived in a leaking tent for 9 months. UNHCR and other partners later provided them with food, healthcare and a brick house.
We assist.
That's it for NEWSFLASH today. There's more news at 7 on News Night. My name is Noble Crosby, and thank you so much for watching.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring.